Before we get into the deep concept of pregnancy, I would like to talk about important terms which I will use in the entire session of pregnancy. Menarche, the first period when the girl is going under puberty. Preconception, the time when the parents are planning for pregnancy. Conception, the time when the sperm travels to vagina into the uterus to fertilize the egg. Whenever parents are planning for baby, it is important that they should plan for the conception before 3 months. In these 3 months, following things are not to be consumed by the parents for having a happy baby: salt drinks, alcohol, energy drinks, bacon and all saturated fats, BPA-free plastics foods, flakes or fishes which has high mercury. What to eat? A yogic diet, a diet which is 100% natural and easily digestible by the body. You can also call this diet as sattvic diet or 100% vegetarian diet. It consists of seasonal fruits and seasonal vegetables. Any fruits, vegetables which belongs to a particular season will be healthy for the mother and the child, except those which are not recommended by the doctors during pregnancy. Let's discuss the menstrual cycle. It mainly consists of 4 hormones: follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, estrogen, and progesterone. The menstrual cycle has 2 phases. The follicular phase. In this phase, the egg inside the follicle is developing, and the luteal phase. The egg has exit from the ovary and what is left is corpus luteum. In many women, the cycle is different. It starts from 21 to 35 days in adult. Luteal phase is always 14 days long, so it means the follicular phase is getting larger and smaller. The female reproductive system. The female reproductive system consists of vagina, uterus, fallopian tube, and ovary. The ovaries are where the eggs grow. Once they are fertilized, they travel through the fallopian tube into the uterus. During the follicular phase, the follicular stimulating hormone is secreted. When FSH reaches a certain level, 5 to 7 follicles will be recruited and competing to reach ovulation. An ovarian follicle is a fluid-filled sac in the ovary which contains an immature egg. These follicles compete for dominance during follicular phase, and only one ovum is released during ovulation, sometimes 2, which helps in the formation of twins. Let's understand, during the follicular phase, on the first day when period happens, which may last up to 5 days, at the end of the menses state in the follicular phase, there are usually some days when the woman feels dryness in vulva. This is an infertile time, and in this stage ends with the beginning of ovulatory stage. The ovulatory stage is the last stage of follicular phase. Ovulation happens in mid-cycle. It happens on the 14th day of the menstruation cycle. However, this follicular phase may vary from woman to woman. Some may ovulate earlier or some later. Additionally, things like stress, illness, poor diet can affect the cycle. The ovulatory stage begins when the cervical mucus allows the sperm to pass through the cervix. During this time, the woman feels increasingly wet at the vulva. This stage begins 5 days before ovulation. Because sperm can live 5 days in cervical mucus waiting for ovulation, the ovulatory stage ends 24 to 36 hours after ovulation. Because the ovum can live for 24 hours, the woman will sense after the ovulatory phase when she is no longer feel wet and slippery at the vulva. Once the 5 to 7 follicles are recruited, the fluid-filled sac around them begins to grow. This causes estrogen and wetness to increase. After the 12 days of the follicular phase, estrogen reaches higher. Then there is a surge on FSH and LH, and after the 24 to 36 hours, ovulation occurs. The beginning of LH surge is the prediction of ovulation for the next 24 to 36 hours, and LH can be measured in urine at the beginning of this surge. There are tests women can do at home to test their pregnancy, and this is the natural way to test. Remember, the ovum will die within 24 hours after its release. Now we will talk about the last phase of the menstrual cycle, the luteal phase. The luteal phase doesn't have stages. Within 24 hours of ovulation, the woman is in her luteal phase. It starts from the 15th day to the 28th day of the menstrual cycle. In this stage, the woman is in her infertile time. She shouldn't feel wet and slippery during this phase because the hormone progesterone at high level and is responsible for the drying of mucus and raising of the waking temperature. What happens in luteal phase? In this phase, the Graafian follicles get ruptured by the release of secondary oocyte. What left is corpus luteum. If the woman egg gets fertilized, this corpus luteum helps to thicken the endometrial lining of the uterus by the release of hormone called progesterone and helps for the proper implantation of the egg. And if the egg is not get fertilized, then this endometrial lining gets shed and your next period starts. See how important it is to understand the menstrual cycle?